Well, I don't think ergonomics has changed that much over the years. I know there's an emphasis on that with our safety manager and just safety in general, but we still have cowl-mounted controls, okay? We want our operators to be able to go home at the end of the day, throw the baseball with their sons and daughters. So is that different with your truck? Because it sure looks like it.
Yeah, and it definitely is. What you're noticing behind me is a mini liver setup. And this setup is different drastically as it should relate to that. All of that reaching, all of that distance between you and the controls, removed. A much more comfortable position we can look at later, where you're actually resting your arm, able to manipulate all of those by the single press of a finger. Further to that point, this is not a feature that is going to cost you extra money. This is something that comes on the truck standard. You simply need to know that it's actually what you want. If you didn't want it, then the option is just as well that we can keep the lever system, where your operators may have stronger continuity or just more of a familiarity.
Well, we've got a full suspension seat. You can see we've got a little area here that we can put some pens and things that we use. This is their office space right here. It's not a very big office. We've got a cup holder and again, some storage area, but that's essentially it. So I want to keep my operator on this truck all day if possible.
Sure, so there's a lot that's going into this truck that's going to help you with accomplishing just that goal. So when we look here, we have tons of space in the front of the unit. A guy like you with size 12 maybe, you're going to be comfortably at home in this space. This is upwards of a size 15 and a half.
Wow.
Aside from that, you'll notice that everything is nicely angled for visibility. So when you're discussing keeping them on there all day, well, not only can they stay on there all day comfortably with also a full suspension seat, what they can do is work more productively by using all of that visibility they have, whether it's the front, rear, sides, or up top.
Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong, we're happy with this truck. Again, I used to operate this truck, but this cowl is a little bit higher than it looks like on your truck. We do have a tilting steer column, which is a nice feature. We can move it back and forward. Small steering wheel. We've got a parking brake on the left side, but it doesn't look as modern just as far as the look goes from what I've seen with your electric truck.
Yeah, and right away that you made a great point. Some of the angling is much different here. You'll see that the cowl is actually angled downward in a little different way than you'd see over here. You'll see that on the back as well. Also angled, also lowered. Right away, you can see that this chassis is closer to the floor while still giving you that clearance we discussed.
Gotcha. Well, you know both trucks, obviously, and we do have a digital display. We can change between a couple modes, but is there anything on your truck that's different from that?
Yeah, so a lot of those fluids, fuels, and everything that you're concerned about, you no longer need to be concerned about on a truck like this. The way it works, its transmission system, all of that ends up being a battery that replaces an engine and helps to displace many of those moving parts you just considered. But this dash, this screen, is a big information center. It's an LCD screen, and it'll give you many of the criticals you're looking for. When you start looking at what it is that's left, what kind of power you have in that unit before you need to refuel, well, that's what the BDI on this is going to do for you. It's going to let you know how much battery power you have. Behind me is a lithium unit, which is going to give you tons and tons of power, capable of running well past multiple refills on this truck.
Well, I know some things about lift trucks from being in this business for a long time. Lift trucks, one salesman one time told me they're like vacuum cleaners, where they're sucking up dust and dirt through all the components of the truck. I notice you don't even have any of that venting.
Yeah, it's just not necessary. And part of the reason you have that venting and part of the reason it's so detrimental to that unit is that it produces heat. And heat is very much the enemy of a forklift. It's very difficult to combat it, and there's a series of vents like you just described that help in a way to alleviate some of that buildup. Over here, we have a truck that's working, like I said, with fewer moving parts that is actually much less of, like you described it, a vacuum cleaner. So this unit isn't going to have that kind of suction. It's not going to run quite as warm.
Okay. What about maintenance? Let's get into that. So, our trucks get PM'd 4 times a year, maybe around 500 hours a year. Is this truck similar, and is the maintenance similar?
So the maintenance is going to be much less intensive because you've reduced the amount of parts that are on the vehicle, but the maintenance is a different scope. You'll still have PMs, you're looking at your chains, your sensors, your mast, whereas now the focus is really on the battery, right? And what we can do to actually mitigate a lot of that maintenance is set you up right from the start in the correct manner. So whether that's a watering system, a maintenance-free battery, or otherwise, we can really help to mitigate the times this truck will need to be accessed.